Somebody said Nancy Grace got that Logan Paul haircut. Lord almighty. Well, what is up, iCkEdMeL? Welcome back to another stream. I hope you guys are doing well. We were up late last night doing Nancy Grace, and we're back again to do some Nancy Grace. She had, apparently it looks like she had interviewed a neighbor. We're going to take a look at that in a second. I don't know why they put these little 20-second clips, these 40-second clips. Why not just put like the whole thing? But I guess they're just trying to tease it forever. So we'll just tease it forever. 30-second clips. What's up, man? How you guys doing? I was kind of dragging today, man. I was dragging a little bit. I was kind of like, I don't know. Maybe because we were up late doing videos and content. Do you guys like the new mic, by the way? Some people say they don't notice a difference. You have to have headphones on to really notice a difference, I think. But I think it's like more balanced because I can kind of move more to the sides and it's not as big as a drop off, you know? I had really quite a bit of fun with you guys last night. We were talking about the Nancy Grace cancellation. A lot of people like upset, you know, about this table thing. Whether they say it's distasteful, some people think it's horrible. They're angry. They're outraged. The local bars on their Twitter pages are making posts and saying it's disrespectful. This news station put out an article. 103.5 KISS FM put out an article and it said, "An open letter to Nancy Grace. It's time to pack up and go home." It's a short article, but we'll take a look at it. And they even cited which I thought this was a little bit over the top, the F you Nancy Grace, the shirt. A lot of energy, I guess, but I guess the college town, they're upset. Oh yeah, if you missed out last night, it was fun, man. Loud and clear, awesome. Over here it says, so they wrote here, "It's time to pack up and go home. Nancy, Idaho is over it. And frankly, we don't want you here. It's nothing personal. You've had a successful year and career. You're a household name, but Idaho is mourning, recovering, and we're so over your dramatized efforts." And she just got there, didn't she? "What you don't understand, Nancy, is Moscow is a treasure in the state of Idaho. The University of Idaho community is one of the tightest knit communities in the entire state. And perhaps folks like yourself that have never been here or there or just learn how to pronounce it, 'cause you can't even pronounce the shit, it will never understand, but you can't let this community mourn and come together." And we know about the deaths. It's time to be honest. You're helping with absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't know, man. I almost wonder, and I wanted to show this tweet that Rose made, which I was like, oh sure, bro, go Rose. I'm surprised she said, "Hey, screw it. Hundreds of people have used this house as a backdrop since the murders. Let's give Nancy Grace a hard time for sitting at a table. Nobody would say a word if this was a popular male reporter." Oh, sure, taking shots? I don't know. Talk about a double standard. And I had spoken to a friend last night about this after the live stream, and she was like, but what, what's the difference between everybody else doing it? What's the difference between the other reporters? She said the similar thing, that like other reporters have been doing a backdrop. And I said the only real literal difference is this table that's put there. That's basically it, is a table. And I guess the smiling pictures too, which I talked about last night. It's kind of hard to say because I don't know if people are just walking up to you, "Hey, can we take a picture?" And just instinctively you take a picture, you smile. I don't know. So I guess it's kind of interesting. People are upset. The community outraged. "A suspect is in custody and the case is far from over. Your desires to shoot from the front of the house that has been a crime scene for over 2 months is nothing more than clickbait, and there's nothing left for you to discover." I don't know, because there's been a bunch of people out there. There's been a bunch of reporters out there. There's been YouTubers out there. It says, "After weeks of internet sleuths disrupting the lives of innocent community members, harassing victims, friends, family, teachers, and favorite businesses," which that's probably, yeah, it's plausible. That's true, probably. "You're here pointing out the obvious in front of bright lights and big cameras for clicks, attention, and self-gain. We have nothing against the media or coverage. In fact, in a time where the media is taking a beating more than any other time in recent history, law enforcement officials could not thank the media enough for their coverage once a suspect was in custody. Since the crime, media on both local and national scales have been covering the case, and as soon as the police found themselves asking for public help, the news, such as the search for the white Elantra, was everywhere. Nancy pacing around the house, the same house that has been the center of national attention for months, will bring nothing to the surface that hasn't already been discovered or shared. It isn't helping families heal. Your dramatized dubbing of the murder house, although that's something too we kind of talked about last night. We really don't like that terminology. I mean, I get that, I guess. You can call it, like, I don't know, crime scene or the end place of the murder house. Is not helping the community, and frankly, you're doing nothing to speed up the just due process owed to all parties involved in the criminal trial. It's time to take a hint. You aren't just doing your job, you're making a scene that doesn't need to be made in a town that has a sense of community and love for one another that you may never be able to comprehend. Want to help Nancy? Pack up and leave and report on a case in a helpful way when needed. Share stories of love from friends and loved ones that cherish the legacy of 4 innocent lives, and stop trying to paint a picture of crime that you have no insight or exclusive information about. We stand Vandal strong, and hope you will too, by giving up the gimmick in our own town. Damn. I don't know, they came kind of hard. People saying it's bad optics. Somebody else said it is a murder house. Somebody said hashtag cancel Nancy. They can't. So I put the question last night, you know, they can't cancel her. The Twitter couldn't cancel her. I don't know, man. It seems like some people too really just dislike her as well, you know. What's up, everybody? Welcome, man. Come on through. Come hang out for a bit. I almost wasn't gonna come on, but I saw a Nancy Grace thing. I was just kind of cleaning today, kind of trying to gather myself. And sometimes, man, when I don't want to come on, I think about people are like, "Yo, where you at, iCkEdMeL? You gotta come on." Yo, by the way, before we get started, there's a special tonight that everybody is talking about. Have you guys heard about it? Let me see. Can we do? Is there a trailer or something? Okay, Dateline NBC. So I think I'm gonna, it's up to you guys if you want to come through tonight. I think what I'm gonna do is we can stream it on Twitch and Discord. Because I won't be able to do it here.
Near campus?
Everybody's talking about this. It's a 2-hour special.
Somebody had done something really bad. He said, I think Ethan's dead. And then we walked out into the courtyard and somebody said that Xana was dead.
My niece said something bad has happened to Kaylee. So then I started calling Maddie.
At this point, we didn't have any answers. Like, we didn't know anything.
The coroner said she's never seen anything like that.
Oh, they got him. That's they tried to cancel this guy.
Answers. Like, we didn't know anything.
The coroner said she's never seen.
This guy's on fleek too. The work he got done. I mean, you know, his face. He got a perfect face. On fleek.
Anything like that.
This is someone who wants to show us that he's capable of inflicting a lot of pain.
Oh, this is from True Hidden Crime. The woman's, I forget her name right now, but her husband.
Would you expect a lot of useful physical evidence at a crime scene of that type?
I would believe that there would be a lot of blood evidence along with touch DNA.
We did not have a suspect at this time.
It creates a lot of wild speculation.
We were worried about things going cold, you know?
You keep hoping that you'll get some clarity, and there just isn't any.
They just want to do their job, and they want to solve this case.
It's in a chaotic stage, but I believe they're doing what they need to do.
We think they have answers.
Law enforcement had an idea of what they were looking for long before the public was aware of it.
I get a phone call saying, we think they have the suspect in the Idaho murder case.
He was a little shocked with the arrest, is what he had said.
As far as we can tell, the motivation seems like something out of Criminal Minds. You know, reality is stranger than fiction type thing.
There was a loose end out there.
And he knew it.
If he is indeed the person, I feel that no mercy should be given to him. We have people across the world reaching out.
It might seem kind of bizarre, but it really does help.
The world, I believe, has actually felt our pain.
To me, it's like love wins and evil loses.
I don't know. So I guess we were going to do Dr. Phil tonight on Discord and Twitch, but I already have that recorded. We can watch that another time. Everybody's talking about this thing for tonight. A 2-hour special, man. So you're going to have to prepare yourselves. Bring some food, some drinks or something. Lay out, relax. So they're saying 2-hour special tonight. So make sure you follow me on either Discord or Twitch if you want to watch it together. Discord has a limit of 50 people to watch in the Discord. But I'll also be on Twitch, which some people like Twitch more. See you guys. Okay. So that's going on for tonight. By the way, if somebody can find that Facebook post for me, somebody had sent this to me earlier. There's a Facebook post where somebody's claiming to have known Brian and started talking about coke and other stuff. And this guy was on this and on that and blah, blah, blah. Somebody sent me screenshots, but the screenshots, the quality was bad. So if somebody can send me a high quality thing so I can share with everybody on the stream, that'd be amazing. Of course, we got to take it with a grain of salt, but I want to know what this person was talking about. So let's get to Nancy as well, this interview, and then we'll do the podcast. That's so Nick says Dateline don't think there'll be any new information. That's the only thing with these specials. It's like, yeah, are they really going to give us anything new, or is it just going to be repeating the entire thing over and over and over? You know, the same thing.
When he first moved here, I invited him to a pool party because he was new.
Yeah.
Had no friends. He actually came out, talked to everybody out there. They were, he was social with everybody. When I met his dad, he was like. So I was talking to his dad outside first because his dad was out there. Brian must have been organizing the apartment. He was like, "I want you to meet my son Brian. He has some trouble making friends sometimes." And then he came down and he was a little odd, but I'm kind of odd to some people, so I didn't think much of it. And I met him. He was nice to me, social. So when I brought him to the pool party and after. We were talking in here. I was like, it's weird that your dad says you're antisocial or whatever he was saying, because you're not that way at all.
And they just kind of mute it there, but there's 2 other clips we can watch. Some more insight from the neighbors. And it's kind of like the same. It's pretty much the same theme that we've been hearing. Lucy, by the way, thank you for sending me those screenshots. I'm preparing it on my end so I can show it to everybody. Thank you for sending me that. I got to pay attention to the admin chat as well. I just took my caffeine for the day just now. But yeah, it's like the same theme of like, antisocial or whatever, awkward or whatever you want to call it, having a hard time making friends. I wonder, what do you do for a kid like that? Let's say you have a kid that is having these kind of issues with, I don't know, social cues, making friends. Do you just, what would you do? Do you just try to expose them more to going out? Do you try to make them make friends? Do you at some point take them to get therapy to find if there's any underlying issues? What do you do? Lock them up.
Talk about
put them on meds. Some people just put their kids on meds.
My wife, though, because my birthday was like real shortly after this pool party, and I told her, I was like, I'm gonna invite Brian because he's still new, so I know what it's like to be new somewhere and not have any friends. And she was like, don't invite him. Like, she had an intuition about this guy.
I'm telling you, women's intuition, it's real. Did you ask her?
Somebody said, who said he's antisocial? I don't remember who, because he was clearly trying to be social, but had been people that said he had trouble. You see, this article says, this is from the Post, but I hate when it does that. BRYAN KOHBERGER was a creepy loner who went from perpetually exhausted to eerily chattier. There was a part here. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say it was weird, but he didn't have any social skills and didn't know how to make friends. He was just awkward.
I just
Sucked it over.
My birthday was like real shortly after
Yeah.
this pool party, and I told her, I was like, I'm gonna invite Brian because he's still new, so you know I know what it's like to be new somewhere and not have any friends. And she was like, don't invite him. Like she had an intuition about this guy.
I'm telling you, women's intuition, it's real. Did you ask her why?
I just can't put a finger on why, and I'm trying to think. Like I don't know. I can't really put a finger on it.
It's really, really odd that your wife picked up on that.
Well, like you said, women's intuition.
So his wife picked up on.
I told her. Talk about my wife though, because my birthday was like real shortly after this pool party, and I told her, I was like, I'm gonna invite Brian because he's still new, so you know I know what it's like to be new somewhere and not have any friends. And she was like, don't invite him. Like she had an intuition about this guy.
I'm telling you, women's intuition, it's real. Did you ask her why?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they say women's intuition, but some of these women don't be listening to the intuition. Shit, I've done it myself, though. I listen to my own gut. Just go and do crazy shit. Anna, what's up? I know how to say your name now. Mel, in the show The Mindhunter, if you recall, the kid of the other detective was weird, and he was cold with him. He was worried about what he could become. They had no bond because the kid was an introvert. Oh, interesting. I feel like the introverted thing too, people just like to call themselves introverted because they think it's like the cool thing to say. People just dub themselves some sort of whatever name it is. It is a thing, but some people just kind of like panic attack. Some people just say they had a bad day, so they call it a panic attack. And I don't know if it's really, I mean, mumbling.
I had an intuition about this guy.
I'm telling you, women's intuition, it's real. Did you ask her why?
I just can't put a finger on why, and I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. I can't really put a finger on it.
It's really, really odd that your wife picked up on that.
Well, like you said, women's intuition.
Let's mute out the end part. I'm not sure why they didn't release the entire conversation, but here's the last part.
But to you, he actually says, have you heard about the murders?
Yeah, when we were talking right here, he said, have you heard about these murders? And I was like, yeah, that's, because it just happened. Like, there was like a few articles. There was not much detail on it at all. So when he said that, I was like, yeah, I read like an article. There's not much about it. He was like, yeah, it seems like they don't have any leads. And I was like, yeah, I guess not. And then he's like, yeah, they think it's a crime of passion. I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. I've read one article. I'm not really sure what they're thinking. And then he kind of left it at that. But he did bring that up. Like, it was a normal conversation.
Yeah, don't F with cats. I really want to see that. People keep telling me about it. I might watch it this weekend. I mean, I thought it might be fun to watch on Discord, but I don't know. Let me see if they updated anything else anymore. That's it. Idaho student murders. Final text neighbor received from suspect. Let's see.
The last message I got, he said, "Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family." And this was 11 days after.
Oh.
Happy
Oh.
And this was 11 days after.
Hey, you want to go to the something? I'm about to head over there right now. What's good? Hey, bro, nothing much. But I've had the flu all week. Try to feel better soon, man. Somehow I've managed to avoid getting sick this semester. I wonder.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thanks, man. Today I finally felt good enough to go back to class. I think Monday I'll be 100%. That's good. Did you get the flu shot? Hell nah. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving. Hey, man. Or it says, hey, thanks, man. Happy Thanksgiving. He's rocking Android, the other person. Brian, I guess. Okay. All right, I guess let's start with the oh, so let me show you the screenshots too. So I was sent the screenshots. I haven't read this whole thing. Somebody sent me this crazy-ish this morning. I haven't read it, so we're gonna read it together because I was like, bruh, And by the way, make sure you guys check out the channel sponsor, the video sponsor. We're doing a giveaway at the end of the month. Swag it. I got to put the link in the thing. I thought I did. But we're doing a giveaway at, I guess, $1,000 at the end of the month. So just stay tuned for that. Download the app. Follow me on there. I'm posting content and videos on there as well. And just a chance to win some money. So, all right, let's get started. Let me, come on. Oh, the bot's not here today? Damn. All right, the bot's not here. Okay, BRYAN KOHBERGER accused mass murder. This is the group, Idaho 4. I'm posting anonymously because BRYAN is my family, and you people in this group act like vultures and rabid raccoons. BRYAN is innocent, and you will see he has been framed by his drug partner friend, the university. The security guard from the university. They were doing drugs together in the parking lot as they had been done numerous times. But when I'm trying too hard. But when security guards started acting like a peeping Tom outside the girl's window, BRYAN left security guard and drove back to his apartment. The reason the phone was off is because the battery was flat and security guard was using the car charger. BRYAN put his phone on charge when he left the parking lot and switched it. What? Okay, switched it back on. When he was near to his apartment, because that's how long it took to get the charge going, BRYAN's knife was in the car and security guard was holding it because he used it to chop the cocaine lines. Oh my God. He used that kind of knife to chop coke? Come on. Yes. I said cocaine because BRYAN stopped heroin years back and substituted the drug with cocaine, which honestly wouldn't be surprised me if he was on some sort of upper. If he's changed from the downer, because downers can cause you to gain weight, heroin and other stuff like that. Antidepressants can cause weight gain as well. So I don't know that I really believe this story. I probably not, because it's like still all the GPS and all this stuff. So he's saying he used that knife to chop up the coke. Yes, I said cocaine because BRYAN stopped heroin years back and substituted the drug with cocaine. He has tried so hard to stop everything, but he's an addict. And he has bad migraines. Oh, the migraine thing. Which, the visual snow thing. So the cocaine actually helps him. Just take some caffeine, man. You'll be taking a coke. He had no idea security guard was going to do what he did, and he just wanted to teach security guard a lesson by leaving him behind. BRYAN actually feels terrible that he left his maniac behind, or this maniac behind, but it's not his fault. You people need to stop with these singing videos and funny pictures of, let's see. Of BRYAN and my dad, or we will sue you for everything you have. All of you just get a life and stop playing Facebook detectives, because you are just a bunch of losers, bored losers that have no morals. Right. A psychopath that allegedly killed these 4 people. Bro, imagine that, like coke. Yeah, man, my headache's acting up, so I'm just doing some coke, bro. That was crazy. Is that a thing? Coke for headaches? Let's take a look. Let's do a little research. Google, right? Do some research. Coke for, all right, let me do cocaine because I don't want to think soda. Cocaine for headaches. Let's take a look. It doesn't say anything about it. Damn. Can you use cocaine? I mean, I would think it has a numbing effect, right? Cocaine for headaches. Damn, it doesn't say nothing. What about Reddit? Why does coke work on migraines? Oh! I just had a migraine for 2 days. Tried everything to relieve it. Triptans, painkillers, cold pack, hot water bottle on my head. It would ease off a bit, then just come back. Then this afternoon broke down and drank a can of Coke and a packet of Salt Crisp, and boom, gone. Oh, I thought he was talking about cocaine. Never mind. Oh. Let's see. Cocaine for headaches. Let's try that again. Oh, okay, okay. Mira. So sometimes they do use it for some CCUs, which is critical care units, like ICU, use cocaine as an acute cure to treat headache outbreaks that is not effective for all cases. Only 17.2% of cases benefit from it. Most patients can learn to abort most of their cluster headaches by application of cocaine solution. Oh, okay, gangsta. In the pharmacy, we used to have cocaine, like the as a narcotic, of course, like locked up. I didn't really know what they were giving it to people for. Ooh. But in more recent research, it has been notified that those patients who have incurable cluster headache that is not treatable by conventional treatment, cocaine used as an acute cure shows full or partial improvement in 30.8% of patients. Okay. Amphetamines makes migraines worse. I believe that probably for sure. I don't know, man. What do you guys think about this post? I think the post is kind of, I don't know, kind of trolling, but I wonder if that's going to be his alibi. He's going to try to, because like the whole thing where he walks into the police station and they talk to him and he's like, am I the only one arrested? You know, not verbatim, but something like that. Is there anybody else? And I've seen some people try to pin it on Anon too. They're trying to say that Anon was the dealer. I was like, oh Lord. All right, so I don't know. They're saying security guard. You think it's his family or one of his friends or something? What do you want me to pull? Cocaine? Or if the post is real? Melissa said, "Do the Kenkenev voice for on the new mic for us." I didn't realize a long time ago that was a really good album by Eminem. I didn't realize that was Eminem for quite a while, that he was doing the Kenkenev voice. Oh, it says my dad. Ooh, you think it's the sister? Because he has two sisters, right? Don't they sometimes have a way to verify too when they make anonymous posts like this? Like, don't they sometimes be like, the admins will verify the person and they can try to see if it's true? Or they want me to slow the chat? I've seen, like, listen, I don't think it would be wise for the sister to make posts, but I have covered stories where the family will come in the comment section, or even I've had family come in the live chat and start like snapping. I've had that happen before, or seen them make posts. I really love how they started at the beginning though, when they were like, "You people in this group act like vultures and rabid raccoons." I haven't heard that one yet. Rabid raccoons. You want me to read it again, the whole thing? I'll read it one more time. You want it one more time? All right. I'm posting anonymously because Brian is my family and you people in this group act like vultures and rabid raccoons. Brian is innocent and you will see he has been framed by his drug partner, friend, the security guard from the university. They were doing drugs together in the parking lot as they had done numerous times, but when security guards started acting like a peeping Tom outside the girl's window, Brian left security guard and drove back to his apartment. The reason the phone was off is because the battery was flat and security guard was using the car charger. Bryan put his phone on charge when he left the parking lot, and he switched it back on when he was near to his apartment because that's how long it took to get a charge going. Bryan's knife was in the car and security guard was holding it, because he used it to chop the cocaine lines. Let me see. Bryan's knife was in the car and security guard was holding it because he used it to chop the cocaine lines. Yes, I said cocaine because Bryan stopped heroin years back and substituted the drug with cocaine. He has tried so hard to stop everything, but he's an addict and he has bad migraines. So the cocaine actually helps him. He had no idea security guard was going to do what he did, and he just wanted to teach security guard a lesson by leaving him behind. Bryan actually feels terrible that he left this maniac behind, but it's not his fault. And you people need to stop with these singing videos and funny pictures. See, the admins, they should be able to know, because it says anonymous, but the admins in that group should be able to verify who's the actual person that posted it. Does anybody know? Do they have a link to that post? Did the admins verify it? They have to verify the post anonymously. I'm wondering, to stop everything, but he's an addict. He has bad migraines, so the cocaine actually helps him. He had no idea security guard was going to do what he did, and he just wanted to teach security guard a lesson by leaving him behind. Bryan actually feels terrible that he left this maniac behind, but it's not his fault. People need to stop with these singing videos and funny pictures of Bryan and my dad. Or we will sue you for everything you have. Good luck with that shit. All of you just get a life. Stop playing Facebook detectives because you're a bunch of bored losers that have no morals. I don't know. I really don't know, man. But it would be interesting. The admins would be able to tell who that actually is. To see who actually made that post, All right. What the hell's going on over here?
Why not choose your own adventure on the water?
We are outside the crime scene. Behind us, the home where these 4 beautiful college students were murdered. All around us here at the crime scene in Idaho, people are coming even in the rain. And
if you guys could help me out with the likes, please. We're only at 770 and we got almost 4,000 people. Please. Thank you.
Freezing temperatures behind me to lay more flowers at the home.
And the whole thing with the drug partner thing, real quick too, it kind of like lines up with what that friend of his said, that he used to work at a pizzeria where he was like, yeah, man, we used to get high together in the car. And I think they were doing heroin. I don't think it was like green that they were smoking. They were doing heroin together. And the guy was talking about they would get high together in the car.
Where 4 beautiful University of Idaho students were murdered. Right behind me, the parking lot. We're out here really early in the morning. Typically, there are throngs of newscasters and reporters all camped out. But I think the rain has scared them away, but not the people who are coming to pay their respects to those 4 students. Behind me, the morning shift of a 24-hour guard service that is protecting the home. And I'm telling you, from what I've seen of a lot of reporters and, crime aficionados, I believe that they would get right up on the house and try to get in the house if they could. So it's a good thing that that guard is there. Don't worry, we've been bringing them coffee throughout because it's freezing here. Last night, again, we drove the route that Kohberger drove, leaving here. We followed his escape route, determined by when he turned on his phone when he left the crime scene. It's really hard driving. We took a video of it. The roads are so bad, no one would take that route in their right mind. It's pitch dark. It was raining at the time. Nobody would take that hour-plus route home when they could get home in just about 10 minutes. Not only that, we go to his apartment and end up meeting and interviewing several of his neighbors who, as of this moment, had not spoken before. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. First of all, take a listen to our friends at NBC.
BRYAN KOHBERGER again in court. The families of his victims are still looking for answers about a motive.
It's obviously an emotional time for the family.
The lawyer for Kaylee Goncalves' family saying KOHBERGER didn't know Kaylee or Maddie Mogen, as far as they know.
I don't know of anybody that did know him. All those girls were social. They were involved in the college. They were working hard, waitressing and doing different things. So the idea that he may have ran across their paths, I don't think is uncommon.
The attorney saying the Goncalves family has been in frequent contact with investigators as they look to build their case against KOHBERGER.
Well, anything that we have, we send over to the Moscow Police Department.
In court for a, as it is called, status hearing is a typical hearing. We are just now waiting for that warrant to be unsealed. You know how long it took to get the probable cause warrant for arrest unsealed? Well, now it may be up to 2 months or longer before we get the warrant to search his apartment. With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we're learning out here in Moscow, Idaho. First, I want to go to Cheryl McCollum, forensic expert and founder of the Cold Case Research Institute. She's also the star of Zone 7, a new hit podcast. Cheryl, I've got to tell you and everybody else what we learned from multiple neighbors last night. All right, listen to this. First of all, none of them want to be identified or connected to KOHBERGER. They don't want to be called his friend, his acquaintance, anything. We learned that KOHBERGER's father came all the way to Moscow earlier and helped KOHBERGER move into his apartment there at Steptoe Village. We also learned that his father, who seemed like a really nice guy, according to the neighbor, asked the neighbor to be friends with KOHBERGER. It's like me arranging a play date for my twins when they're 3 years old. He asked him to be friends with KOHBERGER and said it's really hard for his son to meet people or to make friends. We learned that the feds took loads of stuff out of KOHBERGER's apartment. We learned that inside KOHBERGER's apartment, it was very, very sparse. Not a lot of stuff in there at all. We also learned that KOHBERGER's apartment is right on top of a little child's apartment. There were a lot of children there in the apartment complex, Cheryl. And it was kind of quite a dichotomy to know an alleged mass killer was sharing a wall with a child. There were a lot of children in the apartment. We also learned something very unusual. I'll get Karen Stark to weigh in on this. So while the neighbor was making friends with KOHBERGER, as KOHBERGER's father had asked him to do, at one point he was going to invite him over to dinner, and his wife said, don't. There's just something about him. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. I don't want him around. I find that and so much more of what the neighbor told me to be very, very interesting, maybe even probative as it comes to proving the case. Okay, Cheryl McCollum, jump in.
This should surprise nobody. Number one.
You guys ever had any weird neighbors? I'm sure everybody's had one, right? I remember one when I moved many years ago. I moved into this new place, and this lady, it was like a little apartment place, and there was this lady that would like always be peering out her window. I guess she was like bored or something. And I remember when we moved in, the first day she came knocked, and she gave me like this homemade spaghetti and pasta, like this, like a big like freaking thing, like a big one. And so I took it inside and I threw that shit away. I was just too paranoid, man. I took that whole plate of food and I just put that shit right in the garbage. I ain't eating that. So I'm just paranoid like that.
One, we watched his dad answer questions for him to a police officer. The fact that his dad would say, hey, make friends with my son, be his buddy.
And she could have just been being neighborly, but I don't know. And ever since that day, too, she was always creeping. Like, I think she was retired, so she's just always looking out the windows every time you come in and out. I don't know, man. I had a couple of weird instances, too.
When his son is nearly 30, tells you that his dad absolutely knows his son is not somebody that can navigate socially in this world by himself. He's proven it over and over and over. This is going to, again, be a shock to nobody that this guy in social settings is awkward and doesn't know how to, move about as a grown man. He also shares an office with two people that are also in the PhD program. I think they are going to be critical. I think his students are going to be critical. I think fellow classmates are going to be critical. We also heard from the woman that went on the date with him that said, again, she couldn't put her finger on it. She just wanted him away from her. Everybody that spends any amount of time with this man gets that gut feeling.
Willie Black made a really interesting post. That's true. I can't lie. Willie Black said they still partying in that neighborhood, but they want to cancel Nancy Grace. Get the F out of here. Y'all on some BS for not speaking out about the continuing party. I'm just saying. Every night we out there. It's kind of, that's a good point, I guess. Yeah. They're going to come for you. Willie, Twitter's going to be real upset with you. I don't know if you have a Twitter account. They're going to be real upset with you.
Another interesting thing the neighbor said was the father was super nice, and the neighbor, believes the father and mother had no idea that Kohberger could be a killer, that they only see him through the lens of being their son. But it's very clear to me, Karen Stark joining me, renowned psychologist joining us out of Manhattan. She's at KarenStark.com. Karen is spelled with a C, by the way. Karen, what do you make of Daddy trying to set up play dates for Kohberger?
Well, that's an arrested development, Nancy. I mean, as you said, it was something you did with your 3-year-old son or daughter, and that makes sense to me. He's an introverted guy, and so many people interviewed talked about the fact that he was strange, that they could pick up something. And people do. You do. When you're around somebody, it's very rare that you hear he was outgoing. People will say, oh, he's a good neighbor. But you don't hear, when it comes to killers, this kind of a killer, that, I mean, think about it. He was stalking. He was able to just be there over and over. Then he would drive at night. He's very much to himself. As it is when you're in a PhD program, and when you're in graduate school, you've got to spend so much time reading and studying, and that's perfect for him.
Well, another thing that I found out, guys, and I'm going to go to a special guest joining us. Laura Ingle is with us, senior correspondent with Fox News Channel. Laura, we found out from speaking yesterday, we went all over Moscow, and we spoke with students in the criminal justice program, the same program Kohberger was in, and they're very upset. And they pointed out something really critical that I didn't think about earlier. They said the day that the bodies were found here behind me, that an all-school email went out, including to Kohberger, stating there have been homicides just off campus. WSU students, Idaho University students are believed to be safe. WSU students believed to be safe. Classes are going to resume. They also said that the students that were afraid to come back to campus would be docked. In other words, it would be like missing class. You had to come back in person to campus. What do you think about that, Laura Ingle?
That you can only imagine opening that email. And, of course, then we learned, I think it was days later, there was some retraction there from the police of, well, maybe there is, obviously there is somebody still out there. But one of the things you mentioned, talking to the neighbors where he lived in Washington, there was another neighbor that just this week came out and said in published reports, said that Kohberger came out right after the murders, in that time frame that you're talking about, when that email went out, and said, seems like they have no leads. Seems like it's a crime of passion, talking to one of these neighbors in his parking lot. And it reminds me of
the arsonist that goes back to check on the fire.
Oh, yeah, that's the whole thing, Laura Ingle, to go back and look at your handiwork and get gratification from seeing what you've done.
Yeah, Nancy.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I covered a story like that a couple of years ago, or a year or two ago. I had mentioned it. There was this guy that, like, the woman literally had made a report about the guy threatened to burn down the house. And then I think like a year later, literally the house burns down while he's working. And the kids were there, the woman's there. I think it was like 4 kids or something like that, all burned and died, you know, and the lady passed away as well. The guy comes back rushing home. He's like, oh my God, what happened? And everybody's like, oh my God. And they're all like hugging him, and he's hugging them, and they're doing like a spiritual circle, and they're praying and all sort of stuff. And he's like, well, you know, I'm going to have to move on or something. When he said like something like that, like moving on, I'm like, damn, already? Like they just all burned and got killed. And the guy ended up getting arrested, but he came back to almost like to see his work, and always came back like with the prayer circles and people, and I don't know.
So typical of a killer. They do that. They go back when they're there. They try to take a souvenir, but they like to go back because they relive the excitement that they felt while it was happening. I also wonder, did he go back because he realized that he dropped that sheep and the knife and was trying to figure out if there was a way that he could get back inside?
You know, I'm thinking about another thing that another neighbor told us, that Kohberger came around and was saying, hey, I heard police don't have any leads. They don't really know what happened. And what have you heard? And just like you just said, Laura Ingle, stating, wow, looks like it's a crime of passion. That was to a different neighbor. So he was out talking about it with people, but when it would get brought up in class, he'd clam up. Oh, hey, Laura Ingle, I learned something else. You know, let me throw this to Dale Carson with me, high-profile lawyer joining us out of Jacksonville, former FBI agent and cop in Miami, author of Arrest Proof Yourself. Dale, another thing we learned, and this was after we canvassed multiple students at the school, that they are not allowed to talk about the murders in class, in the criminology classes. They're not allowed to even bring it up. They will be asked to leave if they bring it up in class. And they've been told that it's a legal problem if they talk about it, which of course it's not.
These are students at SWU or students there?
At WSU, yes, WSU.
That's ridiculous. I don't know how it could affect.
It really is.
It's a violation of the.
Somebody here, Nona said in the chat, I love how they're saying internet sleuths, super sleuths, are digging into all the criminal backgrounds, but the mainstream media is stalking the neighbors. Desi, thank you so much for the bits on Twitch. Show love, Mel. Show Mel love. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of true. I mean, they're speculating as well. Everybody's talking about it. What channel is Dateline? I honestly don't know. We're gonna watch it on Twitch tonight and Discord, but I think you have to go to the website. There's a Dateline, NBC. How to watch? Let's see. How do you watch Dateline? It's on Peacock, NBC. I know it's on YouTube TV, Hulu, Fubo, YouTube. Something like that. I think it's on cable TV. NBC.
Freedom of speech. And that should be a concern to any higher learning institution.
Well, I'm just wondering, are they afraid, is the faculty afraid that they're going to be accused of basically schooling a serial killer?
Well, they did.
I mean, is that what they're worried about?
Well, they certainly did.
No, I disagree with you on that, Dale. I disagree with you, because that would be like saying you go to law school and you run out and you commit torts because you went to civil procedure, or you are a violent criminal because you had criminal law. That's crazy. That's crazy talk, Dale Carson.
All right, well, it is a fact, though.
You're going to take that lying down? You're going to take what I just said lying down? I wouldn't. I'd fight back. But go ahead.
I believe that they not intentionally, but they certainly did provide the level of information that appears on TV and NCIS and other programs that provide information to potential killers. And we all worry about this. We worry about getting on national news and talking about evidence acquisition, how they do it, all of these things, because it prepares evil people to address those issues. The only thing that protects us is the fact that they're going to do it anyway, because there's something driving them that's very deep in their souls. So it's not like they're not going to do it. And clearly, individuals who have never engaged in this behavior before make mistakes, as we're now seeing here.
Nancy, when you talked about that edict going out for the students, that was at University of Idaho?
When I was talking to the students, it was, I was told the ones at WSU were told they cannot talk about Kohberger.
Right.
And they can't talk about the case, and they can't talk about any theory or anything like that. And I mean, it's a real stretch. I mean, you could accuse any professor or anyone of implanting those thoughts.
Article that was posted just recently. It says Idaho murder suspect BRYAN KOHBERGER's grad program had access to crime lab with camera streams. Insider. Exclusive. Pullman, Washington. BRYAN KOHBERGER's doctoral program in Washington State University maintains access to a crime lab database of police body cam videos as well as live streams from security cameras on and off campus, an insider told Fox News. The programs are referenced on the school's public website and are used to study policing and the complex social interactions between police officers and the people they encounter, as well as other government functions. The source, who works for the university and has direct knowledge of the department, is warning that the research tools in the wrong hands could have allowed a suspected killer to view unredacted crime scene images, potential videos of death, and even live streams of surveillance cameras with remote controls that allow the viewer to zoom in on faces. Ooh. Wow. I don't think that any amount of positive research that has come out of this department is worth the risks of letting a wolf in the hen's house, the insider said. They are all obsessed with crime and criminals. You'd have to be to have a PhD in criminology, but sometimes that obsession goes to other levels and attracts this kind of madness. Okay. WSU's Complex Social Interaction Lab, CSI Lab, and Division of Governmental Studies and Services, DGSS, are research entities on campus. The DGSS recently unveiled a report after examining 5 years worth of data on Washington State Police stops for evidence of bias. The results were mixed but alarming. According to the source, is the DGSS's access to live streams of security cameras around Pullman. One example taken from the command center shows multiple screens of live feeds, including one of a person in a car in a restaurant parking lot near Greek Row. Ooh. Could this guy have been watching from there and stalking him? Ooh. Security images visible on computer monitors showing an area that appears to be near WSU's Greek Row. The occupants have been blurred out. Oh, wow. You can watch from there, huh? Wow. More than 5 police departments share body cam video with the CSI Lab database, according to the university. One of them is the Pullman Police Department, according to the source, who could not confirm the additional agencies. Students can apply for access to the CSI Lab online by filling out a brief questionnaire. It's unclear whether Kohberger had gone through this process, but the CSI computers are located in the same building and on the same floor as the graduate offices, according to the insider, who pointed the locations out on the map. The body cam terminals are separated from the department's main conference room by a soundproofed wall and communicate with the internet only through limited pathways. The school spokesman did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Moscow police told Fox News that the department does not share its body cam archive or any live security camera streams with the researchers at WSU. Public records show MPD officers visited the victim's home at least 3 times during the same semester as Kohberger was attending WSU, resulting in the creation of several body and dash cam videos showing interactions with the victims.
It's your place?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
You
it's
know,
right here.
And I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Fair.
You go to school?
Yeah.
Okay. What year?
Senior.
Senior. Okay. So I'll tell you the same thing I told them. You probably know the drill, right?
Actually, no.
Oh, okay. So usually, at least for me, I'll give you a verbal warning.
Okay.
Once I have neighbors calling in, your music's too loud, you're disturbing the peace.
Yeah.
Nothing against having parties, nothing against having people over who are overage to drink.
Mhm.
But again, once we start disturbing the neighbors, then we've got an issue.
Yeah.
Noise ticket is up to 300.
Yeah,
somewhere around 300. Okay, it's a pretty expensive ticket. I don't want to give that to you. That being said, this is your place, so I'm going to hold you responsible. Because it is your place, you're also responsible for everybody here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to grab your info.
Yeah.
And if I do have to come back here, a $300-some ticket's coming your way.
Okay.
And it only gets more expensive from there. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fair. Absolutely.
Actually, let's just do it this. What's a good phone number for you? Is this 1122 here?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I'd much rather you spend that $300 on beer or something fun than
Damn.
a noise ticket, right?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For spending that money on some more liquor.
That being said, warnings. Don't do it again.
Yep.
I'd hate to come back in a few hours and then have to issue that. So,
Yeah.
any questions for me?
No.
All right. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Looks like they roll up on the side of the house too. Okay.
With them, never. Okay, Chris McDonough joining me from the Cold Case Foundation. He's the director, former homicide detective, and host of the Interview Room. What do you make of that, Chris?
Not surprising, Nancy. This individual obviously has very difficult time creating relationships. The fact that there's, no obvious relationship also makes us think about, okay, is there a sexual component to this? We're talking a lot about looking for the MO, but we're missing what we would call in the investigative process signature. And that would be the behavior that goes beyond the actions necessary to successfully commit this crime. We're seeing a lot of signature attributes come to the play here. And the fact that the university is maybe trying to quash that actually is detrimental to the investigation and, quite frankly, plays into the hand of the perpetrator.
Guys, so much is happening fast and furious. Now, criminalists all over are analyzing Kohberger's, quote, amateur mistakes. I'm calling him a textbook criminologist, Cheryl McCollum, because when I say textbook, I mean he read a lot of books about criminology, about committing crimes. And I really do believe at this juncture, until we find out something else, that, as I've mentioned before, and you and I discussed, he just wasn't getting enough of a thrill from reading about it and talking to criminals and actually having students write essays. Oh, Kelly, remember last night we also learned that there were shared docs where Kohberger reportedly was having people write about the perfect crime and reading that. So I think, Cheryl, and again, I'm a JD, not an MD, that it was no longer fulfilling him and he actually had to try and commit the perfect crime.
Could very well be. You're talking about 7 years. This is what he concentrated on at a higher educational level. 7 years he has studied. So to me, there's 2 points I want to make. One, you can read all the books you want to on parenting, but until that baby's put in your arms and you take it home by yourself, you got no idea what you're in for. And that's just a fact. You can study all you want, but that doesn't make you sleep deprived. That doesn't make you.
But some people think too, they feel like having a pet is the same thing as having a baby. And, but I know what she's trying to say. Like, you can read about it all day long and it's not the same thing. That's true. Cause, even with there's so many books on parenting and babies and all that stuff. And, it's like, it's so like different with each child. So like one thing that works with one kid or for one parent may not work for the other one. And so you just got to get your hands dirty.
fearful of SIDS and different things that are not really applicable until that baby's with you. The same is going to be for him. He had no idea the sound, the force, the dog got in his way. Ethan woke up. All of these factors that came to be that he did not count on or plan for. It is a very different thing when you put something in action versus reading it in a book.
Well, it's like a carpenter who forgets to put his hammer back in his pouch. You can't do something like that, which he obviously did. And Cheryl, I call you Magic Cheryl now because you really do understand the dynamic here in a way that I have frankly never heard before, which is the baking a cake syndrome, where you read the recipe, but you can't really put a cake together unless you really know what you're doing and you're a baker. And that's what's happened in this case.
That's right. And there's a second thing going on. Nancy, there's a second thing going on. Everybody right now is talking about Dr. Ramsland. Well, let me tell you something. How much time have I spent in Sunday school and in church, and there's a book filled with how you're supposed to be. I know the playbook. I know what's supposed to happen, but it has to be in me, whether or not I'm going to be a good person.
Hey guys, hold on. We've compared the murders to baking a cake, to raising a baby, to a carpenter, and now we've somehow dragged in the Bible. But I'm hearing in my ear, Laura Ingle has breaking news. Senior correspondent, Fox News Channel. Laura, tell me what you know.
Well, there is the thought here that this may not have been his first time, right? We've all wondered, could he have committed this crime allegedly on his first try? And so because of that, everybody has wondered, has he done this before? It is being looked at. I have spoken to federal and local law enforcement here on the East Coast, in Pennsylvania and Washington, that are looking at that. We know that they are double checking and circling back. Where are the cold cases where there are no suspects? Now that he has been arrested, he's been fingerprinted, presumably in CODIS, they are double checking that. And we don't have any hits yet, but we are looking into that. And it could be a small crime, it could be a large crime, but it is definitely something that is going on right now as we speak. And we're waiting for any kind of hit, not just in the Pennsylvania area, but probably in Washington State as well, and Idaho.
Can it be a virtual crime? Could it have been on his computers that have been seized, where he gets on games and kills people to see how that actually works out? And the software writers certainly are not going to know all the ins and outs of behaving that way.
Well, you know what? I do know from the neighbors that the feds seized a ton of stuff out of Kohberger's apartment. Guys, another thing we learned last night is that the county jail here, where he's being held, is called the County Hotel. I call it Camp Flower, because I've learned that they often play soothing music to wake the inmates up, that they order pizza sometimes for the inmates, that they have outdoor time, they have access to the library, which of course they should for their legal preparation. But it sounds like a pretty sweet deal. There are about 42, was it 42 or 47, Kelly, inmates at the county jail. He's one of them. But it sounds like a pretty cushy jail to be in, kind of like, a bigger version of the Mayberry jail. And I'm not knocking it, because where I grew up, it was the same way. But if and when he is convicted and goes into the state system, it's a whole nother ball game. I want to talk more about the parking lot we saw last night outside of Kohberger's place. There is just really no way that the neighbors couldn't have seen the white Elantra. It's parked right in front of his apartment every single night. But I asked the neighbor, I was afraid the neighbor was going to get mad at me, but the neighbor said, yeah, we saw it, but we just didn't put it together. I guess you see what you want to see, and you know.
How? Really? How?
What you want to know. I've seen that so many times, Cheryl McCollum.
Oh, absolutely. And, Nancy, they want to feel safe. They don't want to believe that there's a murderer, mass murderer, living one wall from them. They don't probably think, like law enforcement, to say they're searching for that car. a lot of times when something has always been there, like your neighbor's red truck or green Buick, you're not ever looking at it again. It's just like when you look at your watch, you're not really looking for what time it is. You're looking for what time it's not, because you're supposed to be somewhere at a certain time. They weren't looking for something that's always been there.
We've learned that the search warrant for the apartment, for Kohberger's apartment, has been sealed. And it's likely going to stay sealed, according to the judge, for about the next 2 months. Now, I wonder where the 2 months timeline came from. And it's sealed over, quote, serious and imminent threat. It also says premature public disclosure could threaten law enforcement, the integrity of the investigation, and public safety. Now, the judge also has a caveat that says it could be lifted earlier, but it's going to be at least 2 months. Who has any idea, Laura Ingle, why the search warrant for Kohberger's apartment has been sealed?
Yeah, that document that was published and it was put out on December 30th. And just what you read, I mean, they've got it sealed, but the judge made the caveat that it could be unsealed prior if there was reason. But for right now, they want to hold the integrity, just like we've seen for these last 7 weeks, why they wanted to keep the information at probable cause sealed up. So I'm super curious. I mean, we're talking about BRYAN KOHBERGER's apartment, and we've often talked about the white Elantra. And when we were in Pennsylvania after his arrest, we drove around looking for lots, maybe police lots where that car is probably held in a garage somewhere. But with the reporting that we've done covering crime stories as we have, we know about MVAC technology, about the new technologies that are used to pull out fibers and hairs and any kind of trace of DNA in a vehicle. So if there is that kind of information that's out yet, we don't know. That could be something that we could be looking for. That's what I'm looking for as we move down the road when we look at the evidence from the car and from his home, which is going to be a huge list of items.
That's interesting what Laura Ingle just said, Fox News correspondent joining us. It is being theorized, and I think it's correct, that there is very likely more DNA evidence that we don't know about because it's most likely being processed right now. When we talk about an MVAC, they're amazing. Cheryl McCollum, describe what an MVAC can do.
It can extract DNA off items like a rock or a rope or clothing at a level that a buccal swab just cannot do. And Nancy, I can guarantee you they already have DNA off there because the killer, he would have had to grab them on their bedclothes and hold them down. He touched the bed sheet. They have more DNA. There's no doubt in my mind.
I sure hope so, Cheryl. Go ahead, Dale.
It's certainly in the car. And that's where that can really pay off. Because clearly he tried to clean the car. There's evidence of that fact from Pennsylvania. And so there's a reason you try to intentionally clean your car. There's a reason for that. And with these new sophisticated things, which are essentially a vacuum cleaner with a really good filter in it, you extract all that data or that DNA from the carpets or wherever the hell else it is, because there's little doubt, as Cheryl said, there's plenty of DNA. It just takes a minute to find it all. And of course, the initial emphasis was on identifying the guy and arresting him to make sure he didn't kill somebody else or get away. And so they've accomplished that. Now they can take all the time they want in order to solidify the case against Kohberger in a way that makes it evident that he's going to suffer the death penalty.
And that's called the Bardole method.
Go ahead, because I'm really thinking about the car and where the trace evidence could be inside the car. And when I circle back to you, Cheryl, I want to hear a more detailed description of how an MVAC works when it comes to a car specifically. Do they have to cut the carpet out? Do they have to cut out the upholstery? But Chris McDonough, back to what you were saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's called the Bardole method, Nancy, and you can also get DNA, touch DNA, from jewelry on any of the victims. Let's say the suspect, had an interaction during the struggle where if he touched even items they were wearing, that method through the MVAC can pull that touch DNA off of that.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the car, but in reality, right behind me is a treasure trove of evidence. And Cheryl McCollum, you and I were going back and forth yesterday off air about all the red sticky seals across the front door where it was like evidence.
Sure.
When you seal evidence, say DNA, you take a buccal swab and you put it in an envelope and you send it to the crime lab. You seal it. Don't you remember how Royals years ago would put wax on an envelope and then put their seal with their initial or whatever their mascot would be? And if that were broken, then the recipient would know someone had read the message or even replaced it. Same thing with crime scene evidence. You close it up in an envelope, a brown manila envelope, and you put tape over it and you sign on the tape or around the tape your name, your rank, and the date and time. When it's opened up, it is then recorded who, what time, and when it was opened up. And then after the testing is done, it's actually resealed again. Same thing with this house right behind me. The front door is covered with red tape, horizontally placed on the door to show if anyone else has entered and broken the tape. It's really important because they may be going back in there because we've seen the lights, right, Sydney? We see the light go on and off in that bottom right room. So somebody has been in there for whatever reason. Go ahead, Cheryl McCollum.
Well, that's exactly what they've done, Nancy. They're going to maintain the integrity.
What is up, man? If you guys could help me out with the like button, please. If we can get to like 2,000, we got almost 5,000 people here. We got 1,600 likes. That would be amazing. Let me show you this article real quick. The body language experts. Idaho murder suspect BRYAN KOHBERGER trades intensity for fear in second court appearance. Body language expert. Wish there was an actual video we could see, but traded a look for intensity for one of fear when he encountered court for status conference Thursday, according to a leading body language expert. As he turns the corner into the courtroom, he takes a breath in, meaning something important is going to happen, namely fear. Susan Constantine, a behavioral analyst who specializes in body language and detecting deception, the horizontal forehead lines are from worry. KOHBERGER slouched into the room with large cuts on his face, which the sheriff later said were suffered during his shaving mishap. Once the judge entered a second later, he sat forward with his elbows on the table. Fixation is seen in his eyes here also. This can be from intense fear. On January 5th, KOHBERGER made his initial appearance in the Latah County Courthouse following his extradition from Pennsylvania. In both appearances, fear and fixation were present in his body language, Constantine said, but the intensity seen during the first had given away after a week in county jail. What I did notice was a forceful heartbeat seen in his cheek. You can see that shit in the cheek? What I did notice was a forceful heartbeat as seen in his cheek. That blood vessel was throbbing from an intense internal emotion. You can see the heartbeat in the cheek? I need to get like my skin game up. Like I want to get more fleek skin. I've been taking collagen, but how do you see that in the cheek? Constantine also said that she detected something in the way he glanced over at the Kootenai County Public Defender Ann Taylor. KOHBERGER's awkward glance, followed by a quick micro smile that flashed and disappeared sharply, she said, that signals disingenuous attempt to acknowledge his attorney, along with a sharp head nod, then leaned back. You saw the heartbeat? You guys saw the heartbeat in his cheek? Oh, he clenches his jaw. He was clenching his jaw. Okay. Oh yeah, maybe the beard. Maybe the beard's covering up that portion. Can you get a pulse from your cheek? I don't think you get a pulse from your cheek. Oh, no, I don't know what's that about, but I do agree that, like, and I spoke to a friend about this last night. I feel like this guy's totally putting on a front. He's trying to appear confident, trying to appear relaxed and shit. But I think he is nervous and crapping on the inside. And I do agree that, like, yesterday he seemed more like, I don't know, like he's trying to put on a front, but he's not. Kohberger spoke little during the hearing, nodding at times and answering yes when the judge asked if he understood the charges and his situation. He also confirmed to the court that he needed a public defender. His eyes are detached, showing fixation as seen in an intense stare. Constantine said, fixation is seen in killers. Okay. All right, that's it for that. Body language experts. Don't twitch, don't smile, don't breathe too fast. You got to just slow breathing. Between jaw and cheek, you could see it. Oh, okay. Between your jaw and the cheek.
It can be then developed into a full profile of the person's DNA. Then they take that profile, obviously, and they put it into CODIS, and they do it in the Ancestry if they need to. And in this case, my gut feeling is they used a private lab like Rathdrum to do the profile because it was done so fast. And like Dale said, now they're not in a hurry. They don't have to rush with the sheets or the clothing or the jewelry or even the dog's collar for that matter. Anything they believe that this killer touched, they can potentially get DNA off of it.
You know, you said Rathdrum. I agree. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the state crime labs. But sometimes some private DNA analysts, such as Rathdrum or Parabon Nanolabs, they specialize in degraded DNA, mixed DNA, correct, DNA that has mud in it, that has other particles in it other than the DNA they're looking for. That's their specialty, and they're not overloaded like state crime labs. They can do it more quickly. So I think that's what's happening. And as I always say, and you'll love this, Karen Stark, when you don't know a horse, look at his track record. If this guy left his sheath from the murder weapon beside a victim on the bed, what else did he do? What other mistakes did he make? Beside that, the fact that his cell phone was cut off en route to the crime scene and then turned on that lonely dirt road, bumpy dirt road in the middle of the night, he turns it back on. That's an omission. It's not actively doing something, but if it's out of character, like if he, like myself, leave my phone on all the time and I charge it at night, turned on, I leave it on all the time, and then at that particular moment, he turns it off, that's uncharacteristic. And that omission proves something, Karen Stark.
Yeah, Nancy, we kept talking about, he's a student and, he's studying this. You have to get into graduate school. You have to be so smart. And for such a smart guy, he made so many stupid mistakes and didn't really think it through clearly. When I had this image that he kept rehearsing in his mind, but even the fact that he's surrounded by blood, right? How is he going to get all of that out of his car? It's got to be on his clothes, somewhere on his shoes, on the gas pedal, it's there. He left the seat. I mean, he didn't think of small details that you would have assumed he was sure about and careful about.
The panel that he wore a protective outfit and then discarded the clothes on his escape route, or would he be stupid enough to take the clothes home and try to wash them? Jump in, Chris.
I think he came prepared for that evening, and after the incident, I believe he did discard those items in various locations, which is consistent with the idea of he had a fantasy purpose here. What that is, we don't know yet, but he was very consistent in, the overkill, the after the scene, what he did, when he left, to your point. So I'm going to be really surprised if they find those particular items in the house, with the exception of the knife.
What about the shoes? What about the shoes, Chris?
I'm going to be surprised. I think Cheryl will, jump in here. I think it's going to be really surprising if he still has those shoes. But it's possible, but I'm not going with it yet.
Agree or disagree, Dale Carson?
I've handled a number of these cases, and typically the individual is wearing a jumpsuit and takes all of that clothing off and throws it in a dumpster. And we have a significant period of time between the time that white car was at least identified to the public and the actual killing. So there's plenty of opportunity for those things to be in a dump somewhere, but it's going to be too difficult to find them in the dump. So they're not going to do that sort of processing. But the idea that he kept stuff, that's certainly consistent with serial killers, but I don't know that it's consistent here, because as one of your other guests, Joseph, says, if there's a fracture in that knife that's still in one of the bones in the body, they can find that fracture and connect the two together. He can't be that dumb, although I will say anyone with any sense would have left his phone on and back at his apartment. And that way you have no connection.
Guys, I want to circle back to why there is a serious threat of damage and premature public disclosure of this warrant could threaten law enforcement. Why could they possibly put those words in the judge's decision to seal the search warrant for Kohberger's apartment? Why would they do that, Cheryl McCollum?
Nancy, the only time I've heard of that happening is if somebody has connections to gang or drug activity. Now, I do know that he's had a past addiction to heroin. If he got back on some type of drug and was meeting somebody, at different locations, and again, his phone will tell that, his activity will tell that, his bank account will tell that, maybe they were afraid that this person may have some type of retaliation toward law enforcement if they think law enforcement is going to make a connection and come after them as a secondary maneuver.
Well, it could be novel investigative techniques as well.
I'm not sure what you mean by novel investigative techniques, but I will tell you this. They're playing it really smartly because they did not release that PC affidavit that talked about DM identifying Kohberger, or in other words, not him by name, but could describe him to an extent. They did not release that until he was in jail to make sure he couldn't come back and kill DM. They also stated, or put it out there, that DM and BF, the other roommates, they made it very clear they were on the first floor, when in fact they were on the second. At least DM was on the second floor with the ability to watch the killer leave. So they kept that a secret until after he was behind bars. And I'm wondering if a similar strategy is not being employed with the search warrant for his apartment. Laura, what's next?
Well, circling back to what you mentioned about the search warrants on page 2 and talking about why these search warrants would be sealed, they also mention the personal privacy. That's item 2 on the search warrant. The personal privacy interests of the witness, victims, and victims' families named in the application filed in this cause also supports sealing the documents filed in this matter. So it's an impact on law enforcement and public safety, but also about the personal privacy. And as we have seen with the other victims' families, we've heard from the Goncalves family quite a bit, as we know. Ethan Chapin's family members just basically broke their silence, speaking about the case in a Facebook page. The mother talking about on an update saying that anything that they had for Ethan is now frozen with the defense. The family of Ethan Chapin going on to say, for us, it involved 2 vehicles, ease, belonging, and a nice set of golf clubs. They've met with prosecutors, handled media inquiries, managed, grieved, talked, and continue to try to process what they call their new normal. So there is who knows what in those search warrants that they want to keep private from all of us. as they continue to process these multiple crime scenes. And I also want to mention, I was asking about the University of Idaho earlier. We know that classes have resumed. Ethan was a triplet. His brother and sister, Maisie and Hunter, returned to the campus of University of Idaho this week. That could be another reason why, people are being very careful with them. They are going back to their classes. Can you imagine? These three children, these siblings, these triplets, chose this college. I spoke to the family spokesperson for Ethan Chapin this week. They said these three chose University of Idaho to be together. They wanted to learn together. They wanted to have the college experience together. And now two are returning without their brother this week.
Laura Engel, that just broke my heart. And then Ethan's family posted a picture of the triplets when they were young, and just heartbreaking to me. Multiple bombshells emerging from the hearing that was held at the courthouse. It was called a status conference, but this is what emerged. Kohberger's preliminary hearing, where we will hear more evidence, has been set for June 26 at 9 a.m. We all know that Kohberger was in court for his status hearing in an orange T-shirt, and he told the court he waived his right to a speedy trial. That is significant. Under our Constitution, you can demand a speedy trial. You don't have to stay in jail for a year before your trial goes to a jury. If a speedy trial is demanded, the state has to gather its evidence and try you in that grand jury term, which is usually 2 months, and one other. In other words, your trial will go down within 4 to 6 months if you file a speedy trial demand. We know that preliminary hearing is set. I'm surprised they're not using a grand jury instead of a preliminary hearing, because the state will have to show part of its case to the defense at a preliminary hearing, where a grand jury is conducted in secret. Right now, we expect the search warrants for Kohberger's apartment to be released on March 1. We're hoping they are released before then. Behind me, even in the rain, and it's really cold out here, people are continuing to come and leave flowers in memory of the 4 victims that died right behind us. And we will do the same. Nancy Grace, Crime Story, signing off. Goodbye, friend.
Nancy. It's over. I didn't think she was going to come out with something today, but apparently they did. So let's see what else we got here. If there's anything else. I hope you guys are doing good. It's Friday the 13th. Ooh. Accused Idaho murderer BRYAN KOHBERGER called himself Devil in alleged SoundCloud rap.
Look at this, my mind is pissed and I keep running.
Oh shit.
Why is this when I hit it always leave them stunning? Always look at this, my mind is pissed and I keep running. Why is this when I hit it always leave them stunning? Always gentle giant, no defiance, all build an alliance and still think that I am present. I stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the fucking present. Keep it up.
Bro, that's crazy, man.
Act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Led from a desert eagle, Deagle's going louder than my motherfucking Deagle. And your life, you get no sequel. Leave your loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going regal. Don't with us.
Did it really say that, the devil part? But I'm devil.
Get no sequel. Leave your loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are evil, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going.
Oh, I think he tried to rhyme it and said, but I'm devil. Okay. Kohberger. What else we got on Kohberger? Right move by Kohberger to waive speedy trial. Legal analyst. Why is that, man? So again, tonight, just so you guys know what's going on, after this stream, I'm gonna take a little break. We're gonna go hang out with the baby, go eat. But tonight, I will be. I can't do it on YouTube, but I will be on Twitch and Discord. There is a Dateline special. I was gonna watch Dr. Phil because there's a Dr. Phil special as well, but everybody seems to be talking about this. It's 2 hours long. 2 hours long. So and probably an hour of it's going to be ads probably, but killings in a college town, 9 p.m. tonight, Dateline, NBC. So, just watch it on your TV or whatever, or we'll be on Discord and Twitch. Everybody's talking about it. I don't think I'll be able to do Dr. Phil tonight as well. It's going to be a lot to do, like 3 hours. So that's happening. Also, make sure you check out the channel sponsor, Swag It. I will, this weekend, I'm going to set up the stream for next week. So if you want to, at your leisure, click the link and download it. It's a chance to win $500. Well, actually, I think we're doing $1,000. And I think we're going to do $100 each. I'm thinking. So, might as well just download it, sign up. It's a video platform. I'm posting content on there. And it just can't hurt just to download it, be there so you can have a chance to win. And we also do live chat giveaways. So 500 is from people that have downloaded the Swag It app, and the other 500 will be for people that are just in the chatting. And we had a lot of fun last time. We had a lot of fun. I had a blast. We were watching funny videos, hanging out, chilling. It's a cool way to kind of give back just for supporting me. As far as the data seal thing, too, so I did get an update. I will do a little before and after video for people that are. Ooh. And I want to do an update on Athena Brownfield. I want to do a video on that. I think we'll do that maybe tomorrow. I said today, but today was kind of like wonky for me. Data seal. So they've removed almost everything. Almost everything is gone. And so my privacy score was already kind of high before because I was already using a different service. I just got on with them now. But they were able to actually pick up the other stuff that the other website I used missed. They actually, it seems like they cover more actually. So this is all that's left. They removed it from here, Spokio and Free People. That's all that's left. So people that are interested in that, you can do like a monthly plan or a yearly plan. I just pay for the year, but. So tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be hanging out. It's a 2-hour thing. So if you want to come hang out on, Twitch, Discord will probably fill up super quick. You can try to come. It's a 50-person limit for the video portion. But the cool thing about Discord is we actually hang out there and we chat over voice, and it's really kind of intimate. People seem to love it. The people that actually figure out how to use Discord, they love Discord. And they love the hangouts that we do on there. And Discord's free. There is a members area, but Discord's free. Eventually, because it fills up so quick, eventually I might have to do those video things in the members area. For now, we're just doing it in the public area. But eventually, for the voice thing, we might have to move it to the members. We'll still do Twitch. Eventually, that's where I want to kind of progress it to. Because right now, sometimes it's just filling up. Let me see if there's anything else for BRYAN KOHBERGER. I think that's it. Oh, no, let's listen to this real quick. Listen to this.
There's more perspective on what happens next in this case. Forensic psychologist Gary Brocado and attorney Rachel Fizet. Gary, Rachel, thank you both so much for being here. Rachel, we're going to start with you. Is there anything that surprised you about this morning's hearing?
This is not a surprising hearing. This is the defense asking for more time to prepare the case. And in this case, which is highly circumstantial at this point, I think that this is the right move. So they are waiving their time to have this heard quickly, but they are doing that so that they can prepare more thoroughly.
All right. So Rachel, you say it's the right thing, for the defense to do, in your opinion. If you are the defense here, what is the most important thing for them to do right now?
Right now, what I think they are trying to do, because it is so unlikely that they will get the trial thrown out or the charges thrown out during the preliminary hearing phase. Right now, they want to ask all the possible questions that they can so that they can eventually poke as many holes in this case that is possible. So what they will try to do during this preliminary hearing in June is ask questions, and they will attempt to just continue to learn all of the state's evidence that points to Kohberger.
All right, Gary, let's kick it over to you. You study mass murders. You've really dug into this case. You've profiled the killer. What do you think about any possible connection to the victims? That's what so many people want to know.
In terms of possible relationship with the victims, it's very confusing because we have to remember that in some perpetrators, there doesn't have to be a literal connection to the victim. It could be symbolic. In other words, if somebody represents a group that has made you feel ostracized or rejected, that would be adequate for projecting all kinds of hostility or fantasy onto them. Usually in cases like that, the idea is that you hone in on someone that you've accidentally encountered at school or on the street or at work, that you are drawn to, and the other individuals surrounding the person who is the object of fixation are unfortunately caught up by association. But of course, it's premature to say that. But it's one of the first things I'm eager to hear when the facts come out about this case. But it wouldn't be necessary for there to be a direct relationship at all for this type of homicide.
You know, and you certainly know, as we said just a moment ago, you study mass murders. So you think that if this was 10 years ago, Kohberger either wouldn't have been caught or at least not this quickly. Tell us why.
I do. I believe that several decades ago, when DNA technology, cell phone technology, internet technology, and other techniques were not available, the lack of clear motive and the lack of clear relationship with the intimates surrounding the victims would have made this case very baffling. It's very similar to what turns up in things like serial murder cases, where there's no clear linkage to the victims, so that it takes this kind of technology to outpace that type of offender.
So, Rachel, before we go, let's kick it back to you. You know, we've spent weeks talking motive. Gary just mentioned it. Now, at the end of the day, how crucial will that be to the case?
A motive is not necessary. You don't have to have a motive to
I mean, all this stuff we've pretty much heard already.
have a conviction. A motive provides the jury with some answer to the questions they have regarding why. And so the motive gives them kind of a clearer picture as to why something would have happened. And once they can answer the question as to why something would have happened, it makes them more likely to convict. So I think they will come out with a motive, even if it is this kind of loose connection, or that he had some sort of fascination with mass murder or fascination with the crime, or how the psychology behind it, given his criminology.
So I saw an article too before, I forgot, I don't know what I did with it, but they were like trying to poke holes, and they were saying the one thing about the GPS locations of the cell phone. They were saying, oh, they can throw it out because they put one in there that it pinged in Moscow, but it wasn't actually in Moscow, so maybe the defense could use that against the other pings, you know. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's see. Law and Crime. Let's check it out. Was there a Law and Crime video? Law and Crime Network. Oh shit, somebody got killed. Wait, they're trying to George Floyd me. BLM co-founder cousin dies. Oh. After brutal tasing in LA. Uh-oh. What the hell? I love R-ing you. Andrew Tate accused of sending disturbing text messages. Oh boy. Let's listen to that. Did we watch this 22 hours ago? Let me see something.
You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this planet.
That's a voice recording controversial influencer Andrew Tate allegedly sent a woman in 2015. That audio, along with disturbing messages reading, quote, "I loved raping you," are now coming to light as Tate faces sex trafficking charges overseas. Vice World News published the messages and voice notes allegedly made by Tate. We want to warn you, they may be disturbing to some.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I f***ing loved how much you hated it. Turned me on.
Tate, known worldwide for his millions of...
Why would that turn you on? Like if somebody's not enjoying it and you're forced... Why the... What?
Tate, we want to warn you, they may be disturbing to some.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I f***ing loved how much you hated it. Turned me on.
Tate, known worldwide for his millions of Twitter followers and controversial beliefs, recently made headlines for his arrest in Romania. He's now being held on charges of organized crime, human trafficking, and rape. Just this week, he was denied release from detention, and from here, prosecutors can request Tate's detention be upped from 30 days to 180 days behind bars. But this isn't Tate's first tangle with the law. Back in 2015, he was arrested in the United Kingdom after his accuser provided investigators with this voice recording and violent WhatsApp messages he allegedly sent her.
Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't f***ing pass out. Chill the f*** out. Jesus Christ. I thought you were cool. What's wrong with you?
Bro, like, I mean, especially being in that social media realm, why would you be having these kinds of conversations? Because I guess there's people that are like somewhat into like not being ard, but like the thought of it, or like a role play type of thing. Why would you vocally and text all this kind of stuff? It's just crazy to me, knowing that it could be used against you. But this guy's, I guess, so cocky.
The accuser included a message apparently sent from Tate reading, quote, "I loved raping you." Tate was arrested on suspicion of sexual assault and physical abuse after two separate accusers came forward. In 2019, prosecutors dropped that case.
And if I had actually hurt anybody, the Romanian police would have me in jail.
Tate was arrested in Romania in late December as part of a sex trafficking probe. On Thursday, 7 of his houses were searched by authorities. A spokesperson for the Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism said the search took place, quote, "in order to obtain further evidence." Investigators say Tate, his brother, and 2 women coerced 6 women physically and mentally. All 4 suspects are now being held in Romanian jail. Reporting for Long Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
Damn. Oof. Not looking good for him. No, it doesn't sound like it was consensual, no. Lord almighty. Looking worse and worse for this guy. I'm surprised he could say those things, because, yo, I'm paranoid as shit. I remember, I mean, I can't say too much, but I remember when I met somebody, I really thought, I was thinking like this person's recording me or something. Like I thought maybe they had a recorder in their backpack or like something when I met. I was kind of like so paranoid to mess around. Lord, let me not say anything else. Bro, but like I never used to think like that before, but now it's like I'm paranoid because you don't know if somebody's going to set you up. You don't know if somebody's going to say something that you didn't do. And it was fine. It didn't turn out to be like that, but that's how I think now, yo. Like I'm paranoid about like, I don't know. Especially if they know what I do, And maybe the more I grow, the more it'll get like that. Let's see here. Is there a video to this? Attack the evidence. Maybe we could just watch the video. I don't want to read, man. I don't want to have to read. Idaho murder suspect BRYAN KOHBERGER's ex-attorney, the guy that knows nothing about the case besides his extradition and said he didn't ask him shit. Ex-attorney shrugs off evidence used to arrest him, claims DNA on the knife chief could have been there for an indefinite period of time. And cell phone pings off the tower near the home doesn't place him at the crime. Let's see what he had to say.
Mr. Kohberger is in custody. Washington State University was in court on Thursday for a very brief hearing. We knew this was going to be all about scheduling and whether or not his attorneys were going to ask for a preliminary hearing. That's a hearing where prosecutors are required to put on witnesses and evidence to show that there's probable cause that Kohberger committed the murders of Kaylee Goncalves, Maddy Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Well, it was a big shock because Ann Taylor, his public defender, said they want this preliminary hearing to be held at the very end of June. Take a listen.
Are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
Joining us to discuss what happened in that Latah County courtroom today is Jason Labar. He's the chief public defender for Monroe County, Pennsylvania, and actually represented BRYAN Kohlberger for a very short time during his extradition hearing in Pennsylvania. Jason, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
Your thoughts on what happened today? Ann Taylor, the attorney representing BRYAN Kohlberger, asking for this 6-month delay in the preliminary hearing.
I found it quite unusual. That would be something that would never happen here in Pennsylvania, given the time constraints of hearings. However, I'm sure Attorney Taylor had good reason to ask for the delay.
Do you have any idea what her reasons could be? I can't think of what they would be, but obviously, you know, there's still investigation going on. We know the white Hyundai Elantra was seized from the home there in Pennsylvania. So they're probably searching that. We're talking test results, terabytes of information, social media accounts, phone records, you name it, they are probably going to get it. And will they get that, do you think, before the prelim?
Charge the phone.
It seems like in the 5 months before the preliminary hearing, some of this discovery will be accessible. I know Attorney Taylor said that it was being continued for the discovery purpose. Obviously, the DNA can probably be back if there's any matches with unidentified blood DNA at the scene. But I don't know what it was actually continued for, but I have speculation. We bantered around the idea that perhaps it's to receive the search warrants. Those search warrants in Pennsylvania as well as Washington, although you could file a motion to receive those, by operation of law become available after 60 days. They become unsealed and are available. So that's a potential reason for the delay, as well as, like you said, terabytes of information from the cell phones from not only BRYAN's phone, but the 4 victims' phones could potentially be available and gone through by the time it rolls around for the preliminary hearing.
And wouldn't she be entitled, though, as his defense attorney, even if those items are under seal, the search warrants and the affidavits, wouldn't she be entitled to those even if they were still sealed?
I actually don't know the answer to that because it is Pennsylvania search warrants as well as Washington search warrants. Certainly Idaho search warrants that were executed, she should be eligible to retain those before the preliminary hearing. I'm assuming that she'd also have those prior to the preliminary hearing from Pennsylvania and Washington, but I really don't know the answer to that, unfortunately.
I want you to discuss with me the probable cause affidavit. You've read it like everyone else, the 19 pages. It discusses DNA evidence, cell phone pings, some type of Vans shoe print. We don't know if BRYAN Kohlberger owns a pair of Vans sneakers, but they found a shoe print consistent with that there. The eyewitness identification. Your thoughts as a defense attorney representing, you know, many people accused of murder on what that probable cause affidavit alleged.
I had an opportunity to obviously go through the affidavit of probable cause several times now. I looked it over carefully. It's a strong circumstantial case, but the evidence, when it's viewed individually, you can attack that evidence as a defense attorney. Now, again, we're just in the infancy of the case, so much of this evidence is actually going to come after the preliminary hearing time, although we don't know now with this 5-month delay what's going to be available. But if you take the DNA evidence that's recovered from the sheath, for instance, I believe that to potentially be touch DNA, transfer DNA, which would mean that it could remain on that sheath for an indefinite period of time if undisturbed. That's one way of attacking that type of evidence that doesn't put him at the scene of the crime the night of, just that he merely touched that sheath at some point in time. The ID by DM is obviously going to be contested at the time of the preliminary hearing. I don't believe hearsay is admissible in Idaho under the rules, so I would be likely that DM is going to.
So they're trying to say is hearsay. You know, I spoke to somebody about that that told me that they thought the same thing, that they might try to say it's hearsay. Hearsay. For DM, the roommate.
D crime the night of, just that he merely, that's one way of attacking that type of evidence that doesn't put him at the scene of the crime the night of, just that he merely touched that sheath at some point in time. The ID by DM is obviously going to be contested at the time of the preliminary hearing. I don't believe hearsay is admissible in Idaho under the rules. So it would be likely that DM is going to testify at the preliminary hearing when it gets to that point. So cross-examination of her is going to be key in the case to possibly get even more holes as far as the identification is concerned.
So let me ask you, you think it's a strong circumstantial affidavit, but did you see anything else there? I mean, you said you saw places where it could be attacked, and right now it's words on paper. That's all we have to go on.
Right. And there's no direct evidence linking him other than that transferred DNA on the sheath. The idea, as I stated already, isn't complete 100%, oh, it's BRYAN KOHBERGER. The white Elantra can't be determined to be his white Elantra. I mean, there's circumstantial evidence indicating that it could potentially be his white Elantra, but there's certainly not direct evidence. They don't have direct evidence that he's driving the white Elantra. They're using cell phone pings, which we all know as defense attorneys aren't GPS location coordinates. If it was GPS location coordinates, you're talking down to a meter as to where BRYAN KOHBERGER was at the time of these crimes. Whereas a cell phone tower ping is that you're within a radius of that tower up to 20 miles. And obviously, Mr. KOHBERGER lived within 10 miles of the University of Idaho where these crimes were committed. So certainly he could ping at any moment in time near the actual crime.
Oh, Lord.
Jason, you were his attorney maybe for 4 or 5 days.
5 seconds.
Like that.
Yeah.
How do you keep in contact with his public defender out there in Idaho? Or are you just kind of done and observing this?
I'm merely done and observing and really viewing everything objectively because I was really working in the dark and blind when I represented BRYAN. The affidavit of probable cause wasn't even available to me. So I couldn't even discuss the affidavit, even if I wanted to with him, because really I didn't want to because I didn't want to reveal anything about the case that would be specific to the facts and circumstances with him.
He's a smart guy, obviously, PhD student, 28 years old. He seems very attuned to what's going on. Yes, he understands his rights. We would expect that he would. How involved was he in, the aspects of what the extradition hearing was going to be? Obviously, we knew that was a formality, but how interested was he in, being a part of what was going on? Or was he letting you take the reins? I know that, he was involved somewhat. Is that right? And talking about that statement that you put out where he said he wanted to be exonerated?
Yeah, I was able to talk to BRYAN over the course of the 5 days for approximately 4 hours total. He was engaged with the conversations. He was aware of what plans I had, and he was good with everything that I laid out for him, including the statement. The statement of him being exonerated implicitly meant that he was innocent of the crimes. He used the word exonerated. That's why we put that in the statement. He wanted me to reach out to family, stay in contact with family, which I did to keep them abreast of the situation. Really, he was just aware and willing to cooperate with me. I didn't have too many issues speaking with him, if any at all. He was obviously, as you said, intelligent PhD student. It's much easier to talk to him than many of my clients that I have. It was a nice change of pace for me.
And your interactions with the parents, his family, what can you tell us about that?
I mean, his family's distraught. They're shocked by the arrest. They are in constant contact with him still. I believe they're talking daily on the phone, really just making sure that everything's going okay with both sides. Because I know Marianne, his mother, was very upset and was having trouble coping with the news. But really, the family's just taking it day by day, keeping things private, hoping, for really that BRYAN's doing okay.
And I can imagine any parent would be distraught about this. Do you expect to have any contact with him whatsoever, just as somebody who worked with him?
I don't expect to speak to BRYAN in the near future, certainly.
Well, any final thoughts, Jason?
No, I don't have anything else. I just appreciate your time. I know I've been stressing.
All right, that's pretty much it. Let me get the last super chats as well that we got. Okay, Sinner, thanks for the super chat, man. I hope you're doing great. It says Nancy's voice makes me want fresh baked pecan pie. Just saying. Chantley Millie, thank you for the super chat. Says, has anyone questioned the noise complaint calls? I wonder if it was him wanting people out there so he could attack. I could also imagine him calling cops to see the response time as well. Ooh, I don't know. That'd be interesting. Thanks. Watching the response time. Queen Virgo, thank you for the Prime subscription. Denise, thank you for the super chat. Says, because when they searched his apartment, there's video of him bringing a clear bag. There is video of him bringing a clear bag of his shoes out, and I saw Vans in the bag. Really? I didn't see that. Oh, snap. All right. So I'm going to get out of here. Again, tonight we'll be on 9 p.m. on Discord and Twitch. I'm going to take a little break. We'll be watching this 2-hour special. And yeah, I'm going to end off here. I'm going to take you to the Data Seal Unlisted Live. If you want to check it out, you can check it out. If not, that's cool too. No problem. Cash, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, keep your integrity, Mel. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see what we do tomorrow. Tonight, we're just going to chill. We're going to chill and watch this special, I guess. So, all right, take care. Love you guys. Peace. Bye.